FCS parents. Hope you guys have had another fantastic week. It's been another great week here at Fairfield Christian School. In fact, last week on Friday, we had our jogathon. It was a lot of fun. So some of you were here, were able to enjoy that with us. Some of you weren't, but if you weren't, you missed out on a great time. The kids were running around campus. They had a real good time. It's always good to have kids up and running around and moving. The kids that did not run, they still helped and participated. We had kids manning our water stations to get water to the runners. We had kids manning our color run station. We added the color run aspect to it this year, so they were adding colored cornstarch to the white t-shirts of the kids that were running through that station. And we had other kids cheering the kids on. Having that support is always very important, but it was great just being here on campus, all the kids running around, parents helping out, teachers helping out. It was a blast. I'm thinking about starting a jogathon every morning because it pulled some of that energy out of those kids. They were pretty tired by the time they were done running around. Then after the jogathon, we had an apple party for the elementary students. They enjoyed that in the back, eating their apples. They probably needed some nourishment after an hour of running. My favorite moment was probably about 30 minutes through. We ran for an hour. About 30 minutes through, I got on the bullhorn and told them, "You're halfway done, only 30 minutes more to go." And there's the look on their faces of 30 more minutes. Oh, I'm already tired. That was priceless. It was one of those great moments that as a teacher you just live for. So it was enjoyable by everybody. The kids made it through. They did a great job. Some of the kids really amazed me at how many laps they did, but it was a good time overall. And hopefully some kids raised some money as a part of our fundraiser as well. All right, so several things went home this week with students. Pictures went home this week, so hopefully you guys got those. But also, we had sent home the results of last year's Terra Nova testing. Now, if I'm being honest, I kind of hesitate every year with sending those test results home. And that's because sometimes reading those test results can be misleading. Now, as part of our accreditation and as a part of just being a good steward of the academics of these students, we want to do testing every year. But there's no perfect academic assessment out there, especially one of these standardized tests. There's no perfect test out there. And one of the things that I always want to caution parents about when they're reading the results are often comparing your child to other kids across the country. That's not normally something we like to do. I don't want to compare one child to another child because all children are unique. And just because one student or maybe even one group of students performs one way does not mean that another student will perform another way. In addition, assessments don't always line up with our philosophy and our curriculum. Our curriculum is a mastery learning curriculum, specifically in Ignitia. There are certain concepts in Ignitia that we actually delay introducing to students in terms of grade year because we want to build a strong foundation, especially in the areas of math and language. We want to build a strong foundation, so we move a little bit slower in the lower grade areas, especially 3rd and 4th grade. When they start getting to 5th and 6th grade, we start to accelerate that a little bit because they have such a firm foundation from what they learned in 3rd and 4th grade. And then what we start to see is by the time these kids are in middle school and especially high school, they really start to take off. What that really means is sometimes when you're looking at those scores, especially for kids that are in elementary school, sometimes the overall scores can look a little low. And I know that alarms some parents. Do not freak out. That is normal. That's a normal way. That's a normal sense of data that we see every single year is that 3rd and 4th grade tend to be a little bit low. 5th and 6th grade, that data gets a little bit higher. 7th and 8th grade, it's about where the national norm is. And by 9th and 10th grade, we really start to see kids take off. In fact, many of our kids over the years, if they've been with us for a long period of time, from 3rd grade up through into high school, as we see those high school grades on those assessments, they really start to outpace the national average by quite a bit. In fact, we've had several students max out the test in terms of scoring. They can't score it any higher. So our system seems to be working, especially in terms of progression. What we always want to see is a student's individual growth, not necessarily how they compare to other kids across the nation. And that's why I hesitate to send those test scores out, because that's what those test scores really show, is how your child compares to other children. Now, we get the data, we do the standardized testing because we have to, it's a part of our accreditation. I don't necessarily like it. In addition, there are a lot of students that don't do well with timed assessments, which standardized tests are timed assessments. It rushes students many times. Some students need a little extra time. We can do accommodations for some students, but that's a very long process. And so, again, the data that we get from that is not always 100% completely accurate as giving a reflection of what your child is actually capable of or where they are. So please, when you look at that data, take it with a grain of salt. Just like any data you ever get, you have to know how that data is generated and how it is being analyzed. I am not using that data to compare your child to any other child. I only want to use that data to compare your child to themselves. And that's something we're kind of compiling right now. We're kind of taking a look. We look year after year at those students and how well they've done from one year to the next. And what we want to see is growth. We want to see growth from every student, no matter how they compare to other students. I could care less how they compare to other students. I am not like anybody else. Your child is not like anybody else. And so I want your child to grow the way they're meant to grow, not the way that the national average says they're supposed to grow. Hopefully that makes some sense. If you have any questions about that, please let me know. I can explain the process a little bit more. But again, don't freak out about the Terra Nova test scores either way, whether your child is what they say is below average, or if it says it's above average. There's probably some mitigating circumstances right there. Again, standardized assessments are not the end-all be-all of where a student is at and how a student is doing. All right, so hopefully you guys have a great week. We're going to continue to have a great week here. As always, if you guys have any questions or comments, let us know. Call us at the office, send us an email. We're more than happy to talk to you. Hope you guys have a great week. God bless.